Hello, everybody. Hope everything's all right. We'll be checking what we have here. Looks clean, looks beautiful, looks pretty good. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. And this is another live shortwave radio show from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Hey there. Hello, everybody. I was distracted by a few little things. Nice to have all of you here, my friends, and it's always cool to have these live shows. So my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and this is the show about radio. We're here every Fridays, 2000 hours Universal Time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Kind of funny because somebody this week said, I don't understand your live shows. I live in the same time zone as you, and I can't understand why your clock is, 4 hours ahead of my time. And it's like, yeah, because here it's a shortwave radio show, and a shortwave radio show, like everything that has to do with amateur radio, shortwave radio, it's pretty much all happening in universal time, and that's very important to understand that it's the best way to understand what time is something going to happen where you are. And I understand that some of you across Europe might be seeing a moon eclipse of the moon, a full eclipse of the moon, total eclipse of the moon happening tonight. So, anyways, it's fun to have everybody here, and it's gonna be nice to be here. What the hell is that noise? That is so annoying. Weird. I think it comes from outside. That little high-pitched noise. I don't know if you guys hear it, but what the hell is happening? I think it's a car outside. They've kind of diverted the traffic. There's a big street just 2 streets from me, and they closed it down today for maintenance. And now all the cars are passing here on this little street since this morning, so it's like tons of noise coming from outside. So sorry, but nice to have everybody here. So some of you have a total eclipse of the moon. Yes, Mars is beautiful. Yesterday evening I was outside and saw Mars shining really brightly, and very distinct red orange colored star. Very, very nice. And anyways, nice to have everybody here. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and we're here to have some radio fun. I was tuning not very strong with Spain. Spain is on 15520 in Spanish, so pretty amazing. Yeah, indicator and minus 2.8 magnitude. I believe it was slightly brighter than Jupiter. Honestly, I'm used to watching planets, so I pretty much see the Jupiter's brightness all the time. It seemed to be brighter than Jupiter, absolutely. So nice to have everybody on board, and of course today we have some questions that came over email, and all sorts of questions that people are asking all the time. So we're going to check that out. For those that want to know, tomorrow is another show. Yes, tomorrow we will be on the VHF UHF channel. So tomorrow the show is on the other channel, VHF UHF, and we will be the icon should be here tomorrow. Probably here. I'm going to be checking that out. But the icon should be here tomorrow. So I think it's going to be cool to check that out for sure. So we have a nice and beautiful chat room. If you guys want to check it out and see what others are talking about, there's tons of information there. People are talking, having a lot of fun, talking about what they're receiving, listening on the radios, and it's a great place to ask questions. So just join in and you'll be at the forefront of having fun with everybody. It's like a big party. It's a radio party here. It's just having fun listening to the radio, and I always like to say, solitary hobby, but this brings everybody together, and it's kind of cool. I mean, why not have fun with others that are as weird as you are with your radios? And here at least you're absolutely normal to love your radios. And that's the cool thing. Hey, in the chat room, we'll say hello to everyone. So, hello there, Richard Cook. Nice to have you here. Nick Amendot. Richard Cook's in the UK. Nick Amendot from Romania. Nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess in Louisiana, USA. He has his radio call sign WA5107SWL. Rock the Tech Guy, nice to have you here. Mark Clark from Central Pennsylvania. Pretty cool to see you here. MDK2, nice to have you on board with his call sign KE0SFC and his shortwave listening call sign WAO0080SWL, WA0080SWL. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you on board. And I think I said hi already. Yeah, from Louisiana. David Snyder, nice to have you here from Staten Island, New York. And he's got his R75 receiver available via Global Tuners. So just check it out. Name is Staten Island. You can tune his radio and see what you can hear. Dave Freeman, nice to have you here. W5KJL, nice to have you here. Frank Fodo from Paris, France. Nice to have you on board, Frank. Mick Eit, nice to have you here from Germany. David Arden, hello there. Just got a notification. Glad to be on board. Cool. Nice to see that the notifications got back. And I figured out while looking at the settings that you can actually add a show delay. So that's why also about 30 minutes before we started, I actually activated the show on the phone. And all it was doing is just waiting to start up. And all I had to do is press the Let's Go Live button. Dave Freeman says, just add in my AirSpy HF Plus there. Oh, cool. Cool. Nice to have everybody here. Richard Cook says 9665 propagating to Europe, which I believe is Pyongyang. Andy RC, nice to have you here from Cornwall, England. Nice to have you on board. Dan Walsh says happy Friday to everyone. And TGIF, I think that's his Friday for a lot of people. From New York City, Neil Toombs, nice to have you on board from the UK. Have I tried Amsphere 4.0? No, I've never tried. Well, I did try a long time ago, but I need to install that and try it out. Frank Tillman, nice to have you here. What else do we have? MDK2's got Spain on 17855. I got it on 15520. Not very strong, but it's there. And the solar flux is very low, 66. It's getting there in the solar minimum. Donald Hosmer, nice to have you here, Donald Hosmer. Always nice to see these cool returning people and faces. W8SWL is the call sign in northern Michigan. He's got his W6 LVP loop installed on the rotor, and it's great on medium wave. Cool. What about shortwave? Did you like it on shortwave? Just out of question. Skelly 4 SDR radio going on in the background. Yep. This is a Fedry software-defined receiver that's on the other desk over there. And through my home network, working with HD SDR on this computer here. Endo Gami, nice to have you here. Saw Mars yesterday evening. It was unusually very bright. Yeah, it was. You couldn't miss it. If you had a really nice sky, you couldn't miss it. It was just great, and the moon wasn't very far. It was beautiful to see. So hopefully, if the sky is still clear here tonight, hopefully we'll have another look at Mars and the moon tonight. Here in Canada, in North America, we don't see the lunar eclipse because it is visible, I believe, only like in Europe and from Europe to Asia, something like that. So you guys could see it there, but here in North America we have no eclipse this time around. I believe we have one later this year, maybe, I think I saw one later this year for North America in the fall somewhere, or is it in the winter? I'm trying to remember, but I can't. D-Ref, nice to have you on board from Kingston, New York. Steve in Australia, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Mark Cope is in Dallas, Texas. Hey, Vaults, nice to have you here. Dave Todd, nice to have you on board with the R718 going today instead of the SDR plate going old school. Cool. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, you know. Normal, how dare you? We aren't normal, I know. Totally not normal. Amateur radio, the original social media. Yeah, kind of. Kind of when you think about it. Dexfire74, nice to have you here. Gaza East Anglia, nice to have you on board. Mantum Bell, nice to have you here. Please repeat current frequency. 15520 is what I'm listening to. But some people are hearing also 17855 from, which is Spain in Spanish. David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. Zach Antle, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Jack in 9IIF, nice to have you here. Matrix 54X, nice to have you on board. Max Edstrom, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Signal S4. Where are you located, Matambal? Hunter Ham 9, nice to have you here. Says just recently got my antenna installed. I was amazed how it came to life. Cool. It's really nice. It's fun to, you know, tune around, and especially I see these people come by and say, hey, I haven't listened in a while, or I've been an amateur radio operator and was very active in the past. I saw your channel and you just gave me, you know, I had to get the gear back up and working and listen again, and I love it, and I want to thank you, and it's fun, you know, and it's part of the reason why I'm here. So I can tell you, Zach Cantor says, I can't decide if I should get an iPhone or send my S7 off to get a new screen. Wow, you got burn-in on your S7. Wow, really? You got to really use it a lot to have burn-in on a. I mean, I have mine. My S7 is what is streaming right now, and I mean, it's 2.5 years old, and got no burn-in there. You know, at the price that you'll pay, I would start thinking about a new phone, honestly, to have the screen repaired. For sure. Two Hands on the Radio, nice to have you here. W5KJL says, what point in the solar cycle are we? I know conditions have not been favorable for a while now. So we are almost at solar minimum. We're not quite yet there, but we are getting very close to solar minimum, which technically should be in 2020. But there's a change on this cycle. This cycle has been very bizarre. Bizarre because the last solar minimum was much longer than usual. It rose quite fast. It was very weak. We had the weakest solar cycle in 100 years with solar cycle 24. It's actually dropping much faster than it's supposed to. So it's kind of, we're not sure what's happening exactly. So we could be at solar minimum already. Maybe we're still a couple of years. It's kind of weird, but one thing for sure, there's not a lot of sunspots lately on the sun for sure. So we're near the bottom technically. So we'll have to get these. You know, these few years with solar minimum and listen and enjoy it with that. Simply enjoy it while we go. You know, I've had some of the best DX at solar minimum, so you know we don't have. I see people going nuts saying, "Oh wow, okay, so no radio for me even the next few years." No, it's not really that. You know, there's always something to listen to. It's just that the higher frequencies aren't propagating very well. You'll mostly hang in the lower frequencies. One of the biggest problems with solar minimum, and the fact that will be on the lower frequencies for a lot of stations, is the fact that it is going to the lower frequencies often have more interference, the higher part of the shortwave spectrum for many of us. And that is maybe one of the biggest problems. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you here. And yep, rearranging the listening post, absolutely. Not finished yet. The icon's going to be here tomorrow for the VHF show. It should be here. I'll take the day tomorrow to install that. Everything's unplugged on the other side there. I'm really changing things around. Pirate flag, which is hanging there, should be on the wall eventually. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to put it there, but pretty cool. And it's kind of nice to have a different point of view and a different way of being here, because honestly, sometimes it's just fun. You're like, yeah, but it's always the same thing. Gets boring. I'm gonna have some backlights also that would enable me to have colors in the background so that it looks like more beautiful. So, anyways, we're working on that. Nice to see you here, Eric. Donald Osmer says the loop works well with HF2, weaker signal strength, but less background noise compared to his G5 RV. Yeah, technically, I would expect that the signals will be probably weaker than a really big antenna, but the important thing here is the signal to noise ratio. So you have a little bit of weaker signals, but the background noise is lower. So you might have better signal to noise ratio, meaning you might hear stations better, even though they're a little weaker, Metan Bell says 17855 is, let me just go here. I'm just past here. Okay. Feeding in better and better. Scalio Forces, I'm sure the ICOM IC 7100 as digital 2. Yes, I believe so. What else do we have? Let me just check it out. In Colorado. Okay, thank you, Matel, for answering. Colorado. What else do we have? K6YYL. Nice to have you on board. Kimberly from California. Always nice to have all of you here. It's been a very hot summer here. Day after day, it's warm, humid. It's just. I just went to the grocery store. I think I'm a little. I kind of really, with the new air conditioning that I have, I've been spending so much time inside that I just find that outside is too hot all the time now. It's just crazy. So Andy RC says, don't forget that it's the RSGB IOTA contest this weekend. Single sideband and CW, 1200 UTC Saturday until 1200 UTC Sunday. So cool. That's going to be something to check out. Max Strong said, I bought my friend an Ice Engine 909. He said he would rather listen to radio on his computer. I told him we could no longer be friends. Come on, you can still be friends, but everybody is different. There's for a lot of people who they don't really like listening to the radio and the static, and we are a very different breed because we kind of enjoy the magic of invisible radio waves being received on a little box with an antenna on it, and from far away, and it's that's just thinking about it, it is kind of cool. Honestly, it is kind of cool. Kamek Z 1976 just switched from an indoor antenna, which received very little shortwave, to a 120-foot long wire antenna, and was amazed at how many signals I can pick up on his DR Play now. Absolutely. If you don't have too much noise, switching with a long wire antenna outdoors is a day and night with an indoor antenna, for sure. And sometimes you gotta try it. Very, very crazy. Mr. Sparks 54 scanning the bands on his Eton E1XM. Cool. Metan Bal, I'll try 17855. I don't know if I'm getting it here. Not even a, barely. Not. I would say not even a peep. 17855 isn't coming in here. Typical of a solar flux of 66, probably making the Spain to Montreal signal rather bad. But the 15520 is not too bad for me. So, well, if the world is going to end today, you know what? Might as well be while we do a live radio show. At least we'll be, living the end, talking about something, we love. How about it? Richard says very cloudy here. Might not see blood moon. Yeah, that's always a bad thing, when there's like a lunar eclipse or anything and it's like it's cloudy. You're like, yeah, man. Dave Freeman says, would be nice to have a Montreal radio at Global Tuners. Are you still going to add your icon there? Yeah, it's something I'm thinking about. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. I would have to dedicate. I probably could do it with my HP tower here. I could dedicate it to just doing that, and have it working. It's either that or I could. Another thing that I was thinking of is the possibility to. I could add the Afedri SDR also. That could be another possibility, and maybe the icon would be nice. I know a lot of people would like to tune in with the icon. I need to check it out, and I need to install that properly so that it works well when you guys want to tune it. I'll be checking that out for sure. It would be nice to have a. Unfortunately, it's sad that it's noisy here, but it would be a lot of fun to have that for sure. So, have you ever seen Road to Perdition? Yes, I did see that. I did see that. Kind of nice. What else do we have? Indicator says Chris Smolinski, the guy who runs HF Underground, says he prefers the low noise of solar minimum. Of course, he lives in a rural spot and has huge antennas. Where I am, there's plenty of noise. Yeah, maybe if you have very, very, if you can see the difference between solar minimum and maximum in the noise on your radio, all I can say is, wow, you've got an amazing spot to DX, because, pretty much all of us have too much noise to even see a difference with that, for sure. Richard Cook says 17855 is rather good over there. Vault says, can see faint blood moon. It's fairly low. Maximum is in 5 minutes here. Cool. While I was preparing for the live show, I did see that there was a few live streams on YouTube actually showing the eclipse live. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. Some people are having it live. PA1WX, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Pretty cool. And the DRM on 15540 is Radio Kuwait. That is in DRM on that frequency. Yeah, plasma TVs, Calio 4 are the worst in noise for sure. So Anton Ball says S0 there, but pretty listenable. Yeah, sometimes they're very low in signal strength, but still easy to copy and listen to the program. Dave Freeman says, I'm using W6 LVP amplified mag loop antennas for his nodes in New York at Global Tuners. Works very well for EM and shortwave. Cool. P1WX says, conditions are not very good, but I managed to work Japan with rotatable dipole last week with K-index, when the K-index is low. Yep. So, you can have the X all the time, Yeah, plasma TVs are like the worst kind of TVs to have if you're a radio listener. That's for sure. David Snyder says, thunderstorm in Staten Island, just rebooted my desktop computer where the R75 is attached to. So here it's pretty sunny, and hopefully tonight we'll have beautiful Mars, because here is there will be no blood moon. So BBC, let's check it out. It's about a week. 11810. rather weak here for the BBC. What the hell is that big noise blob here? This is a shortwave signal. You guys hear that? There's like a big noise blob. I would say from around 12,180 to 12,200. You could see it really, that red spot there. 12,180 to 12,200. You guys hear that? Just a curiosity if it's a local interference or if it's a shortwave signal. I have the impression it's a shortwave signal. It seems to go up and down, but I'm not sure. You guys hearing that? 12,1, I would say about 12,175 to 12,200. I don't know if you guys can hear that on your point, just out of curiosity. David Arden says 21,095, barely audible in Atlanta. What's on 21,095, David? Oh, 12, probably you said. You mean 12,095, and you're probably in reverse, sorry. You probably mean 12,095, David. Okay. Matrix 54X, don't you find that your PC interferes with your shortwave signals? No, the HP computer that I use for the Fedri puts out almost no noise. It's a very quiet computer, and there's no difference. If I would switch off and unplug the PC, I would see no difference in the noise level pretty much. And my laptop, the Toshiba laptop I use here, has the original power supply from Toshiba, and it actually has very low noise, honestly also. French on 12060, I believe that is at 20, it's Radio Algérienne, it's from France, it's Algeria broadcasting from France. They have kind of a 10-15 minute kind of news bulletin, and it's kind of irregular. You're not sure when it's going to be there, but you're probably getting partly a kind of a French newscast or something, but that's Algeria from France on 12060. Nathan Ball says no luck with BBC on 1295. MDK2 says I've got an LED monitor that I can't use because it generates wobbly noise lines all over HF. It was radiating from the monitor, so there was nothing I could do except stop using it. Yeah, I have. I used to have an Acer screen here, an Acer LCD screen, and when the picture was very bright on the screen, I would get buzzing lines all over the shortwave spectrum. It's funny because when the image was dark, you couldn't hear really a lot, but certain pictures, brighter pictures, was crazy. David Steiner says R75 is back up. Plasma TVs are known to be the worst. Leo Andrade Comunicas SDR, yes, software defined radio that I'm using right now, which is a little box that's plugged into my sloper antenna in the backyard, and that operated with okay, that's interesting. So MDK2 has nothing, 12180 to 12200. So yeah, some of these vaults are so dark. Some of these solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, sorry, are so dark that you just kind of, same here, nothing. It could be local interference, honestly. Trying to find out what could be making that noise, but it could be local interference from something. Because if nobody is hearing that, this maybe could be a very local interference. Yeah, probably local interference then. Oh, you see now. Okay, so it's not strong, MDK2. It says definitely something on the waterfall. Huh, okay. Interesting. Oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. Huh. So maybe not local interference after all. Huh. Okay. Fernando, nice to have you here from Philadelphia, and he's got his ICOM 718. Pretty cool. Donald Hosmer says nothing. 1280 to 12200 Michigan. Scalio Force is going to hear it. My Yesu. Romania, 11850. Let's check it out. 11850. Yep.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms. Here those reception predictions.
13650 and 11850. Radio Romania. I can't say one is better than the other. They're both kind of rather average right now. So Radio Romania on 11850 and 13650. What else do we have? As far as listening to the buzzer on 4625. Yeah, DK2, you know what? Honestly, when it was dark, the darker the screen was, the less it was creating interference on my side. It was an Acer monitor. And so maybe you can try that, but definitely feel the, you're happy you come home. I remember I was so happy you came home with that screen that I bought maybe 15 years ago. I was like, oh cool, got an LCD screen. It was my first LCD screen for a desktop computer. I had the big old CRT at the place, and turned it on, and I started hearing all the buzzing on the shortwave bands, and I was, oh man, come on, I don't want to have all of that buzzing. But when the screen was dim, it actually was better in general. So, what else do we have? Matambal says 11850 is S7, pretty cool. Pindal Infinite, nice to have you on board. And from Romania, from what? Or you're Romanian, I guess. Are you in Romania right now? So nice. I like Radio Romania. Richard Cook says 20 dB here on 11850. Yeah, no problem, David. Feel the pain when there's you better play it safe rather than have a deaf R75 or a non-working R75 because of lightning. Yeah, I tried a few things on Matambal with the RF chokes and all sorts of little things, and it didn't change anything. It's almost as if it was coming from the screen itself. It was crazy. Shortwave radiogram supposed to be on 5950, 7780 now, but I have nothing. I'll try 7780, but I can't hear anything. And 5950 won't, at this time, won't make it here for sure. For sure. So, Cuban Lady on 11635. Let's try it out. I've got absolutely nothing on 11635 right now. Saudi Arabia, though, is pretty strong. On 11820. That's very strong. Saudi Arabia on 11820 is very, very strong right now. K2 says, could hear the noise on my battery-powered receivers too. Yeah, same here. Same here. I remember one time I had a friend over, and he started saying, "Hey, can I use your computer?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." and I was in the living room, on the other room, and I think it was with my Texan PL680. And as soon as he started the PC, the screen lit up, and I started hearing the buzzing everywhere. I was like, okay, pretty crazy. So, what was interesting, as Kelly of course says, most PC screens that use the old CRTs with the cathode ray tube backlight, but old CRTs also. The what's interesting is I had a Panasonic and it was so quiet. It didn't do not even a little bit of noise on my radios. It was amazingly cool. I was like, okay, do I switch back to my old Panasonic CRT? I remember thinking, what I do. So, some of these laptops, Metambal, are crazy. I'm happy to say that Toshiba laptops, I've got several Toshiba laptops here, and I'm happy to say that most of them are very quiet. Very quiet. So it's pretty cool. Dave Todd says 11820 is good with Radio Saudi. Yep, Radio Saudi, absolutely. Leo asks if the TV interference, would it be the TV's manufacturer's responsibility to fix it? The biggest problem, Leo, is that the regulations of kind of not followed, and we're getting junk from China that doesn't obey any of the rules of whatever, and noise emissions and so on. And honestly, even if you would call somebody, the FCC or whatever, to complain, they're just gonna say, "Look, there's nothing we can do, man. It's the free for all. I mean, there's just nothing happening anymore." In the good old days, electronics cost a lot of money, but electronics in the good old days emitted very little noise and actually followed very strict emission rules, where the noise level was at a minimum, really at a minimum. Today, things come from China, and it's like, let's have the cheapest circuit possible, the minimum number of parts to do what we want to do, so that it doesn't cost a lot of money. And as a result, we also get the maximum amount of noise because of that. So, but I like here the Sony TV makes just, I sometimes hear a little something if I change the screen background. I sometimes hear the a very, very slight noise, but ain't enough to really be a problem. David says, thick buzzing lines with slowly moved upwards in frequency. Fortunately, my current Asus laptop and the universal power brick that I'm using are silent RF wise. Cool. MDK2 Voice of Greece, weak but copyable on 9420. Should be a good signal in 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, the other night I was listening to it. They had some great music, and hearing it with some Greek music, 9420, will actually get better absolutely as time goes on. It's so sad to see what happened in Greece with the fires and everything. Whoa, just crazy. I was looking at one family that survived, and they said that 1 minute the fire seemed far away. They could see smoke really far in the distance, but the winds were so strong that in 15 minutes it went from a very, very distant fire to everything was on fire around them, and they were like crazy. And they said that the family that was interviewed, they were alive because the police, where they were sending people in one direction, not knowing that actually it was worse. And so he was saying that he went in the other direction because he thought it wasn't a good idea, and his friends went in the direction the police told him, and apparently His friends died in the fire, and they are safe because he decided to go another direction. Crazy, really totally nuts. Um, yeah, I know Vaults. The Toshiba has sold the brand. I'm not sure they're gonna keep the same quality. Yeah, the cheap Chinese switching power supplies are totally horrible. Totally horrible for that. Absolutely. Hey, Mad Radio DX, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see you here. Absolutely. You know, we are part of the, as MDK2 says, we are part of the reason why a lot of the stuff that we buy are bad and have a lot of noise. Because manufacturers try to have cheaper things. Why? Because we started buying cheaper electronics. And we started, you know, when I started fixing computers in, 1999, 2000, a computer, a desktop computer or a laptop computer was above $1,000. You really had nothing much below $1,000. And as time went by, you started seeing PCs prices go at 700, and 600, and 500, and 400, and even those little cheap things at 300. And you're like, okay. And of course, the pressure is there. You have a certain price, and when you go and fix computers, you charge a certain amount. And that amount, when computers cost $1,500, was reasonable. But later on, people start telling you, well, it's kind of expensive to pay that to fix a $350 computer. I'll buy another computer. But all of that, the fact that we started buying cheaper electronics, and it makes pressure on the manufacturers to have cheaper electronics, and it just creates what we're having right now. Tons of noise, and things not really working well with radio, So it's just crazy. So, Ronald Hausner says, I had two Toshiba laptops, both were crap. I've never had any problems with mine. I've had Toshiba laptops since the early 2000s, and it's the only brand I bought laptops actually, and had great laptops. The oldest one that I've got, a Core 2, is still works. It's in the bedroom, and I use it when I want to tune the a Fedry SDR in the bedroom. It just does that. I'm totally dedicated to that, and had no problem. McGlone, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Richard Cook says 9665 is strong, playing music. And K2 starting to see static crashes, thunderstorms are developing, and I'll probably have to unlock all my radio equipment. That's sad. It's summer, eh? My friend here says 9420 S9 plus 5 on SDR play and a long wire 150 feet. Cool, nice to have you on board. Markov says, what am I seeing on my SDR when I see what looks like a wave moving quickly left to right? Intermittent, but I usually see it a few times a night. Yeah, if you see something streak on your screen from the left to the right, if it's in the waves, so you see this little peak move quickly, that is a ionosound. It's a radar that checks the ionosphere to see what frequencies are propagating and where's the maximum usable frequency. So they sweep across quite regularly. Usually in an evening you'll see, if I do a full radio evening of radio, I'll probably see at least 6 or 7 of them go across the screen during the night. And so these are ionosounds. They really check, they are really radars that just send a signal to the ionosphere to see where's the maximum usable frequency, and it makes a graph and it actually shows where the best frequencies you can use for transmitting. So that's what you see. On this display, it actually streaks as a line that moves in a kind of on a plane, because the display moves up as it's moving through, so it actually goes across, and you see it kind of kind of peek down like that across the screen, and it's kind of cool to see. It's really kind of cool to see. Is this VOA Philippines on 94.75 very strong? On 94.75 I would, no, that's not VOA. On 94.75 you're getting, what's that station, WCR? WTWW. You're getting WTWW from Lebanon, Tennessee on 94.75. As there's no, it's the only one transmitting at this time on this frequency. 94.75 WTWW in Lebanon, Tennessee, USA. So if I tried it, I'd probably hear it also. Usually hear it quite regularly. 94.75. I'm not really hearing it today, but 94.75 is WTWW, Lebanon, Tennessee. Dark Vegan, nice to have you here. When my parents bought me an IBM PS2, it was 4K, late 80s. Ah, man. Old computers of the times. I remember the first computer that I had that made a little bit of noise on shortwave was a Commodore 64. A Commodore 64 is Commodore 64 did kind of a little bit of buzzing noise through the shortwave spectrum. Vault says, no, to be honest, PC components prices are going up, and quite a lot now, and a good system CPU, 500, memory 100, video 9800, solid state, yeah, absolutely. If you want to have a good PC, but you still have $499 laptops. People still buy $400 or $500 laptops. They're still there. They still exist, and they're minimum form of what you should buy, but people buy that because they don't want to spend money. So you still get cheap laptops. There's still a lot of them. But if you want a good one, yeah, you got to pay for it. Hey, William Helms from Florida. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool to see everybody here. What else do we have? William Helms in Florida. What else do we have? MDK2 says, the other day there was a huge thunderstorm that knocked out my power. I got on a receiver when it cleared out, but propagation was too poor to hear anything unusual. That's sad when propagation doesn't help the day that you have a power outage. We had a power outage for about an hour and a half here on Tuesday. Was it? What? Tuesday? No, yesterday. Yesterday. We had about an hour and a half without power because they were doing some, they're actually completely redoing everything that is like 2 streets from here. So they actually took the time to shut off the power for an hour and a half to change what they had to change, and then they put the power back on. But unfortunately it was like 1 p.m. in the afternoon, so it's that time period where you don't DX much. It's it would have been nice if it had been, I don't know, early evening or something, or late at night, and you try to DX some really unusual stuff, but really was nothing much happening also. XPA2, the Russian number is due in 13 minutes. Well, I'll put it on 15 967. 15967. Upper sideband. We'll see if we can hear it when it pops up for the Russian number station. What else do we have? I can hear a car. Yeah, there's tons of traffic on my street today because of the constructions on the other street. All the cars are passing here in front. Makes a lot more noise today. And since I have only one window because of the air conditioning, I took out one window. So there you hear more of what's happening outside. Scalio Forces, remember, for my first PC, Intel Pentium 2, 266, and 96 megabytes of RAM. My first PC was a clone, an 8088 machine. It was a XT machine. Ran at, today we found it funny. It had a turbo mode, and it ran at 8 megahertz instead of 4 point something. Yeah, wow, that was amazing. So that my first PC was that. And then I had a 286, then a 486 DX, then a Pentium 166. That was kind of a jump. The Pentium 166 was kind of a jump forward in time, but also because of the operating system, using Windows 98, and things were getting more powerful now. We could see that, we were having more power and we could do more stuff with our computers. Dart Vegan says Counter 64. First computer console was the Counter VIC-20. I wish I had it still. That's what I had, a VIC-20. As the first ever computer here, that I had when I was young, is a VIC-20. And I remember the VIC-20. When my dad came home with it, I was not really super interested. I was looking at it and was like, okay. And then one day, my dad would buy things, and after a couple of weeks they would just stay there and do nothing anymore, just gather dust. And I remember I sat down and I looked at it, I switched it on, and I looked at the screen. I was like, oh, okay. And we had a little book. He had purchased a little book where you could type in games. And I remember the first game was a little ski game, which was in reality, the letter I that were creating the size of a ski slope. And there was a star that you would control with the arrow keys. And you had to go down without touching the edges. Very simple game. But you know what? It took me like 2 hours to punch in the code. I typed run and started playing, and I was hooked. I saw that for the first time and I was totally hooked. I was like, okay, I am now hooked to this for sure. Jeff KD5QDO, nice to have you on board from Groves, Texas. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody here. Scalio says was named Compact Disc Pro 4000. Wow. Dave Todd, first PC was a 386 DX 4 megs of RAM and 120 meg hard drive. DOS 4. I don't hear nothing on 15967. Oh man, these were so... It's amazing. Nathan Bell says, my first PC was 1.7 megahertz Zlog Z80. Wow. Scale for ZX Spectrum. Wow. These are amazing. Counter 64 was so popular. The K2 says, use this Counter 64 all the way through college. By the time I graduated, my professors hated my dot matrix printed papers. I was, when I went to college, The college where I went to had very old systems. And I remember that when I went to the computer class, I looked at the computer and was like, man, my computer at home is better than what they have in the school. And I was kind of bummed out. I was like, man, what is this? This is boring. Old, clunky computers. And wow, that was bad. Mario the Extra says, I did not own a PC until the Pentium 3 era, but I remember using a 10D PC at the shops. They sold them in the 80s. Wow. 10D PCs. Kelly Taylor, nice to have you on board. Menton Bell mine was a TRS 80. Love the thing. Yeah, that was popular. Here, you know what? Here was a very kind of very kind of either you know kind of two dominating things were happening here in Montreal. Either you were on Commodore, or a lot of people were on the Radio Shack TRS-80, or their you know their computers, and it's kind of the war. Dan Walsh, Joe, if you're greatly, your bookshelf will crash. No, it will not at all. It's very, very solid. Absolutely no problem there. Don't worry about it. David Barcelona, his first PC I used here when I was really young. It was my father's Atari, and the supplied monochrome monitor. We had to hook it up to the Sony Trinitron 3V back then to get color graphics. Yeah, absolutely. Cake Bass Fishing, hey there. Scalio4 says, in fact, as far as I know, you can get a monochrome screen for the Spectrum. And it was green. Yeah, the green screens, I remember. Absolutely. What else do we have? Yeah, I had the what was it? The modulator for you know, and you guys remember a lot of these computers came with the little switch box, you know, for game TV. You had to switch between the antenna and the computer or the game console or whatever. Kelly Tanner says LRA 36 Radio Nationale Can Jocelyn Gabriel, also known as Radio Saint Gabriel, is a radio station broadcasting on 15476 kHz shortwave. Yep, from the Esperanza base. I totally know. I've never heard LRA 36. I've seen a lot of posts, people receiving it. I've never heard LRA 36, and I would have loved to. I fear that with the noise level that I have today on that frequency range, probably impossible now. But I wish I would have heard, received that station here. Andrew the Exorcist says Commodore Amiga is still my favorite computer for the memories. Can beat an extra 512 kilobyte RAM expansion. Yeah, it's I love my Amiga 500. I'll be setting it up here on there's like kind of a shelf there, and I'll be setting up my Amiga 500 there. Maybe tomorrow, if I set up the radio, I could set up that there, and because I love having these computers run and work and do things, and it's kind of fun, and it's fun from time to time. It's just so much fun to turn these on from time to time, you know. I love coffee. Nice to have you here. Amateur radio, shortwave radio, all of that. It's the radio in general. Mark Cook says, paid way too much for an Atari 1200 XL for my first PC. Yeah. David says, I remember we hooked up the Atari directly to the TV, so it probably had a built-in RF outputs Yeah, there are some that had my Atari 1040 ST has a RF out in the back. I just it's not very strong, but 15967 upper sideband, the XPA2 Russian number station just come on. I barely hear it, but it's there. It's really there. 15967 upper sideband. Static crashes and Tambal. So Forces PlayStation 1 had one had a TV modulator. Often they had started using composite instead. Yeah. I had a my going through computers went VIC-20, Commodore VIC-20 to Commodore 64 to Commodore 128. When I had a Commodore 128, I actually had a 1084S RGB monitor because it could do RGB out on the 128. Then when I had the 8088 PC, I used the 1084S Commodore monitor because the CJA graphics, no, the EGA graphics were had an RGB out compatible with that graphics adapter for EGA. Because if you guys remember, there was CGA, the cheap one. And then there was EGA with enhanced graphics and colors. And then of course we had VGA that started having more and more capacity as we were getting more and more RAM and more processing power in the graphics adapters. But at first was CGA, which was pretty much composite. Then we had EGA, and EGA was working with that RGB monitor, I remember. Then I had my first VGA, which of course meant you had to buy a VGA monitor, which was, man, a cheap, I don't remember, it was a cheap, like Dasong or I don't know what, I'm trying to remember the name, I can't, it's one of those cheap, I think it was Korean, but it was like one of those cheap VGA monitors that you could purchase for a low price. It didn't last very long though. And then I had, of course, better monitors as time went by. Meek H says, my first real job was as a computer operator back in '74. We ran RCA Spectra 70. Oh, 128K of RAM. That was a lot of RAM for a 1974 computer, I can tell you that. So XP2 says, heard 15967. Freedom Russia, nice to have you here. Says 15967 S9 in Russia. Joshua Gosnell, hi there, nice to have you here. 822 channel, nice to have you on board. A radio show about video mods, yeah. You know, we discuss everything in the middle. I had on the Commodore it said, I don't know what happened to it. I wonder if I didn't throw it away or lose it in a move when I moved here. But on the Commodore, I had the SWL cartridge that you put in the back of the Commodore 64, and you could decode radio teletype and Morse code and Amtor. And I remember the first time I've ever decoded a weather bulletin and RTTY using that cartridge, and I was like so happy. But I was using the DX100 back then, and it was drifting so much it was difficult to decode because it was too much drift. And if you decode a digital signal, you gotta have a very stable tone. If it shifts, it doesn't work, you know. And as we are at it, if you guys want to help me out, by the way, Of course, donations are accepted. And here's the little details for the donations if you guys wish to help me out on paypal.me slash shortwave. PayPal.me slash shortwave, or use the Yahoo email that you see there to send me a little something if you wish. It helps me continue the shows, helps me pay for the equipment that I use, and repair things when they break, and buy new equipment when I need something more powerful, more interesting for the shows, and just plain helps out with the shows if you like. Patreon.com/radio and computers, where there's 11 patrons right now giving me a little something every month. Be careful the way you set it up there. Make sure you put a maximum amount that you don't want to go over. And any amount helps. I get people all the time saying, I'm so sorry, all I can give you is $1 or whatever. It doesn't matter. Don't worry, and never say you're sorry about whatever amount you'll give, because at least you're giving, and it's already better than 80% of all the people that watch. So thanks for everybody that have donated. Every time I'll try to kind of also go out a little bit and reach and say, hey, how about you watch my show, you never donated before, and maybe you can spare a few dollars. Why not if it's the first time? And thanks for everybody that have donated. It's much appreciated, and it's really cool. Helps out terribly. So thanks, my friends. Okay, as we continue, what's with the no messages? Well, that simply means that they have nothing, no official message to give out to their spies somewhere. I don't know. Joshua Gosnell says 20 meters open to Europe and Middle East. Cool. Let's check out 20 meters. I'll go to 15200. Whoops. That's not what I wanted. So I just heard something on 14200. They say Echo Radio 4. There seems to be quite a few signals on 20 meter band, absolutely. Echo Romeo 4 Delta X-ray on 14200. 14200. And so ER4DX is located in ER4DX in Moldova. ER4DX is in Moldova, 14200 upper sideband. We have a Moldovan ER4DX is in Moldova. Hey there, Kevin Y. So Moldova station on 14200 upper sideband. Echo Radio 4 Delta X-ray ER4DX. Nyamar Siomi Noma. No, sorry about messing up your name. Hey there, nice to have you on board from Reno, Nevada. Pretty cool. Pretty cool to have you here. Pretty cool. What else did you have? So that's pretty cool. So Moldova is on 14200 upper sideband. We've got Frank in Florida checking in through the email that I just saw coming in through my email. And yes, I do have your question, and I'll answer it right away. So I checked out, and it's still available. It still exists. You're asking me, is there a reference for utility signals? And yeah, it's called, and I've got a CD. This is the 2004 version. This is the last time 2008 version, sorry. This is the last time I purchased one. This is the Super Frequency List by klingenfuss.org. This contains a big database of utility signals. A very, very complete database of utility signals. Everything that has been logged with modes and information about it, and times, if there are times and frequencies and all sorts of details. It's probably the most complete list. It is a little bit expensive though, but this is a great list of frequencies. I should probably purchase a newer one because this is 2008. There are some stuff in there that's probably long gone in the frequencies, but the Super Frequency List, and it's available as a CD, as you see here, and it has a nice interface that you can see the different frequencies. It's very nice, and it used to be a book, but I think with technology now prefers having that as either a CD. I believe he has also a download availability if you want to see it as a download. But the Klingenfuss frequency list is really the reference. Pretty much everybody and very serious utility listeners will actually use. And as for the other question that you've got, according to what would be is there any annual books that deal about shortwave? There's a few things that are interesting. On paper, there's the World Radio TV Handbook, which is a nice publication. It's a very complete publication for everything that has to do with every types of transmissions, from TV, FM, AM, shortwave. It has very detailed information about all the transmitter sites, power the stations use, contact information, emails, the persons you need to contact specifically when you need specific things for each station. It has some radio reviews at the beginning of the book, a few articles on stations, like this 2017 had one on Mighty KBC and so on. But it's kind of nice. It's one of those reference books that is nice to have. There's one that's an electronic publication, and let me just remember. Just try to remember it. So it's a international. It's called the International Shortwave Broadcast Guide. It's available as an ebook through Amazon, and it costs Canadian. It's $10. It's maybe a little less in US dollars, like $7 or $8. It's an electronic publication by Gail Van Horn, and it's a very nice publication. I buy it all the time because it's a complete look into the shortwave broadcasting. It has a lot of information for newbies. If you never listened to shortwave or don't know too much what shortwave is all about, there's a lot of information in there. And I've purchased the latest version. It's the International Shortwave Broadcast Guide. Right now it's the summer 2018 edition. It's the Kindle edition. And you can read it on your computer, on a tablet, if you have the Kindle app. And it's a very nice and inexpensive book that you can actually get for the shortwave bands, for shortwave information. There's also a publication, a magazine, because you were saying that you miss monitoring times. Well, there's Spectrum Monitor. Spectrum Monitor has the look and the feel of monitoring times. If you like monitoring times, you'll love the Spectrum Monitor. The only thing is, it's an electronic publication. There's no paper version of it. I am subscribed to, and I absolutely love it. I just love reading the Spectrum Monitor every month. Very nice articles, lots of cool articles about everything you want to know. It's also, I think, a good monthly publication for people that are new to the hobby, because you learn a lot from these publications, and it's very, very nice. So the Spectrum Monitor, I think, is totally worth it, the subscription price, which is, I believe, somewhere around $30 US a year. And the only thing that's a little weird is that I understand, because they want to manage that easily. If you actually subscribe now to the Spectrum Monitor, you will have a full year starting back in January. So you'll have the January, February, March, April, and May, and June, and July editions already, because you'll be paying for this year. You're not going to have a subscription that ends in July of next year, which is a little weird. So if you don't want to have the older books, you can wait and subscribe in January so that you'll have next year. But it's the way they work, and the guy says, I do that because it's easier to manage. And yeah, I get the drift. It is easier to manage to do it like that, so everybody subscribes at the same time. But the Spectrum Monitor is a great, great magazine, honestly. Great, great magazine. 24 US. Thank you, David Arden. I thought it was something like 30. 24 US. Thank you for correcting me on the price. So $24 US for the Spectrum Monitor. It's totally worth it, honestly. I guess what made me, David, kind of say 30 is because I think when I subscribed at 24 US, it came out like close to 30 Canadian dollars when I subscribed last December or January. But Spectrum Monitor is an amazing magazine every month, honestly. Nicolas Milnes, nice to have you here. 71697 AS3 something. Very strong signal, almost. I don't know if I'll hear that here. 7170. Lower sideband. Anything there? Oh, it's Echo America 3 Japan Echo. A guy from Spain. Already coming in. 7170 lower sideband. 7170 lower sideband. It's EA3JE. Echo America 3 Japan Echo. I'm surprised that at this time I hear Spain, honestly. Already on 40 meters. Pretty amazing. Matambal says Klingenfuss is definitely the best for utility DX. Absolutely. It's the best, for sure. Yammer says, I want to be like you guys, but I'm poor. Can't afford this hobby. How can I afford this hobby? You can buy a used radio. You don't have to spend. It's surprising how you don't have to spend that much money to get into the hobby. A lot of people start out with $20, $30 radios that can be very surprising. The R9012, the very, very low end is surprising. The TIVDO V115, so it's kind of surprising. This one has a little bit of quality control problems, but if you can shell out $40, the Texan PL380 is difficult to beat. You'll hear tons of signals with that. And it's not, it's difficult to put a scale on it. I just have one burnt light. So, okay. Is it still okay in the looks of things? I just got a burned light. This is funny. So you see why your donations are required? I buy things all the time. Let me just see if it's all right. For the lighting, because of yeah, it still looks okay. Cool, but there's a little bit less light, but it still looks nice. So anyways, burned light. You got a burned light. And it's just so funny. That it happened right now, you know. So, you know, you don't need to have that much. You don't need to have that much money to be in the hobby. I mean, you know, we look at the fancy radios we've got and everything, and you know, I understand totally that it might look like, wow, you know, I'll never be able to afford. When people see, I remember one guy telling me, I look at your icon, it's like, I'll never be able to afford that, so, you know, why should I go into hobby? It's like, yeah, but you don't need to have a $2,000 radio to listen to shortwave. You can start off with, you know, a little portable, and it's very surprising what you'll hear with that little portable radio. So, you know, very, very surprising. But, you know, it's always, it's not that, you know, it's very difficult because, you know, $40 for, you know, for me, $40 is like not a lot of money. But I do understand when you say $40 for some people, it's a lot of money. It all depends on where the scale we are at on the radio, on the you know, in the countries we are into, which have very different, you know, uh, rates of how people are getting paid at their jobs, you know. But you can start off, you know, and you'd be surprised. You can look around and you never know. Maybe somebody somewhere around you has a shortwave radio lying around, an old radio lying around, and still, you know, still be okay. So what else do we have? Vault says, "Well, found the site list for 30 euros. Not that bad." Tom Bell says, "I still have my 1976 edition World Radio TVN, but pretty sure 2 or 3 frequencies are still good." Yeah, you know, I don't know. I do have, if I look here, I do have a, everything falls over. I do have a 2001 or the World Radio TVN book here. I think that's the oldest one I've got here that I've kept over the years. And you know, you just open it and it's like, okay, there's we could still listen to, so this is national, let's go to international radio. Yeah, that was a lot of stuff. So you could listen to so Radio Japan, Voice of Greece, these are all in. Oh, Radio Finland, YLE Radio Finland was still on the air. Radio Africa from Equatorial Guinea, I remember that. Radio Cairo, still on. HCJB, Voice of the Indies, with their full schedule. That's long gone, unfortunately. Radio Denmark, all of these stations are still there in 2001. So when you start looking at this, you have 2 things that you can do. Start crying because they're not there anymore, or try to just enjoy your hobby and hope that it's just going to be okay with, you know, what's happening. So, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. The Texan PL 380 is a great starter radio, and like Mad Radio DXer says, amazing for the price. Did I empty the beer, all of it? No, there's still a little bit of it. So I'm starting my second beer after an hour and 25 minutes, and it's a 1837. So a little blonde beer. So cheers, everybody. Radioactive, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. And please, Nyammer, no racial comments. They're not allowed here, and I will not allow that. Make H says, I think there's space now for a Shortwave for Dummies book. I'd buy it. Yeah, a lot of people tell me, man, you should write a book on Shortwave. And I had thought of that. I was like, man, yeah, why not write Shortwave for Dummies? You know? But there is amateur radio for dummies, I'm pretty sure, absolutely. So, yeah, David Arden, Spectrum Monitor is amazing. Amazing. What else do we have? That is true. That is one thing that I didn't think of. But yeah, if you start now paying $3 per issue for the rest of the year, actually gives you only the ones that you'll have until the end of the year, and it's still going to cost you less than the $24. But still, $24, you know, a lot of the information in there is not dated. Spectrum Monitor, most of the articles are not really dated. So even the January edition is still very relevant with all its information. And so even if you do pay the $24 for the full year, having the past 6 months magazine available, it's actually great. It's actually still good. And you'll have a lot of reading to do. What else do we have? David Arden says, I always wait until after March to subscribe. I always seem to be behind in reading the Spectrum Monitor. What is difficult with the Spectrum Monitor is because it's a, so I downloaded, what I do is I download it and I put it on my Dropbox. So if I have whatever computer I've got, if I wish to access my Spectrum Monitor magazine, I just log into the Dropbox, download it to whatever device I'm using. And I have a first generation iPad, which honestly doesn't serve much anymore, but it's still a great ebook reader. So I started simply sending the Spectrum Monitor to my first generation iPad and reading it from there. And at least my first generation iPad still is used for something, rather than, you know, like, it's okay, it's got games on it and stuff, but you know, first generation iPad is almost unusable now. Well, at least I use it for reading books, and so I use it to read the Spectrum Monitor. I find it's great for that, and I find it better than using one of my PCs to read it. But sometimes I'll read it on a big screen like this. It's kind of fun. But I subscribe, you know, I've been a subscriber to Spectrum Monitor for, I think this is my like third year maybe. And every year it's a must. Every year it's, yeah, I will subscribe. Every year when I get there, I forgot to take my phone off of my charger. And I know that creates some noise in the computer. So here we go. Here we go. Okay. Sorry, just looking at somebody had sent me a little something. Yeah, that's all right. Sorry. Okay. So, anyways, Spectrum Monitor, you know, it's kind of my Christmas gift to myself. Renewing my subscription to Spectrum Monitor for the next year. It's kind of my little gift to myself, honestly. Richard Cook says, been receiving a French FM station daily on 95.4 FM. Wow, pretty cool. Pretty cool. False. Says, I made me laugh, False. Working also helps to make money to spend on stuff you like your hobby. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it kind of helps to have a job somehow, for sure. So, Matter the Exorcist still okay, the lighting. So I'll have to buy a. I'll have to buy. I think I need to buy new bulbs. You know, these are stated that they should be working for 5 years. I don't know if it's the way I use them or the angle at which I put them, but these LED bulbs have not lasted more than 6 months to a year each. They burn out quite fast. So maybe they are kind of, I don't know, maybe I need to buy new ones or another brand for sure. Cheers, 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 everybody. Nice to have you here. It's fun to look at. Old. You know, I've got a couple of old. The Passport to World Band Radio. God, I miss Passport to World Band Radio. That book I'd buy every year. I always enjoyed having the new copy. It's always fun to get, for sure. So Radioactive, glad to be here. Cool to see you. Have you tried Radio Explorer? I was thinking of trying that. I did try Radio Explorer at some point. Yes, but a long time ago. C. Johnson, do you listen to any maritime stuff? I used to listen a lot to maritime stuff, but less and less because it's getting harder and harder to actually get anything. But there's some coastal maritime, channel markers and stuff like that I'll often, go through. There was I forgot to mention it, but last week there was Night of Nights when they reactivate some of the local maritime stations just for a few hours, which is always a fun thing to do. But there's less and less. Radioactive says going through withdrawals with no shortwave radios available right now. That's difficult. Yeah, Spectrum Monitor is a magazine that you can subscribe to that talks about radio. Spectrum Monitor. Brett Wayne, KC2 and XP. Nice to have you on board from Salamanca, New York. And by the way, Brett, you'll get the letter that I sent you a little later. For some reason, they sent it back because there was something wrong with the way I wrote your postal address. So I resent it back by correcting the postal address. So I sent it back this week. So you should have it in a week or two, I would guess. So sorry about that, but I was like, what the hell? Matan Ball says 17855, strong now S7. But there's a lot of static crashes. What else do we have? Skelly first says, World is not ended yet. Yeah, more radio listening. Good night, Dice Fire 74. Always nice to have you here. Cuban Lady back again on 11635. Check it out. Oh yeah, this one is very strong. S9 plus almost 20. HM01 Cuban numbers on 11635. I bet that guy, the guy that listens to this, or maybe a woman, you never know, it's like, sexist. It could be a women spy. They watch the stream here and say, we'll get the numbers from the stream. It's easier than listening on the radio. Dave Freeman says, would also be nice to have more people at radios at global tuners from different areas. Yeah, one of the things that probably is a big competition to global tuners is the Kiwi SDRs on SDR.hu. There's a really amazing list of radios there, and I kind of think that there's a lot of competition coming from there, probably. Thanks for sharing the link, MDK2, to that. You coolly, nice to have you here. Yeah, that's what I'll try. I just need to make sure that the ones that I buy don't create interference in the radio. But as of yet, I don't think I have one that lasted more than a year. So I'll try a different brand, absolutely. What else do we have? K2 says, Passport of World Band Radio looked like a great book. I got into the hobby after that ended, but I did see some late editions I got from the library. You know, what was nice about Passport to World Band Radio also is the fact that if you go back to the 1990s, having up-to-date current, or at least good enough shortwave schedules was very difficult. So what would happen is that we didn't have really the internet to get that at that point. And Passport was nice because they had the blue pages, which was every transmission by frequency and time. So you could check out, you know, you would tune around, and it was nice because you would tune around. So, oh, what's this in French at 20 UTC on 15245? You would just open to the blue page on 15245. You would look at the different stations. Oh, that's in French at this time. Okay, that's Radio France, or you know, it was a really cool for that because you had schedules. Now the problem is, yeah, when you would get the Passport, the schedules would slowly, you know, get outdated. But they kind of worked out with the stations a lot, saying, okay, well, you know, do you know what frequencies you'll be using in you know, at the B season or the A season? So sometimes they would actually add, you know, okay, well, you know, the B season they'll be on this frequency, the A season will be on that frequency. And, you know, as time went by, yeah, you were slowly having frequencies that were not good. And stations would sometimes, you know, change unexpectedly a frequency. And so as time went by, it was less and less accurate. But it was still kind of good enough to really, you know, have an interesting listening and experience while looking at the book. Their radio reviews were amazing. That was one of the really amazing parts also in it, where everything was tested and really tested, and they would give a, you know, a star rating up to 5 stars on every radio, portables of every price, from the cheapest portable to the most expensive radios. It was very nice. And some of the expensive radios were also some of the radios were had these special, you could order special test. They had kind of a full test, and you could purchase separately if you want to know more about that radio and how it handles signals and all the basically they would, you know, use their laboratory and really make sure that they look at the details, every little detail of the radio. It was amazing. Tom Bell says, yes, 11635 very strong. Skelly 4, are you using LSB or USB on your SDR radio? Right now it's AM mode. Depends on what I'm listening to, but HM01 is AM, so AM mode. Next XPA transmission, 12217. I don't know if it's too late. Let's just put it here in case. It's should happen soon. 12217. What else do we have? Radioactive says the cheap LED lights have really poor capacitive voltage drop or power supplies in them. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. So XPA2, Russian number station, 12217 upper sideband, and it's now. Hey Calvin, nice to have you on board. Thanks. I like my new setup. It's not finished yet. Tomorrow the icom's here. This will be changing also, but gonna be cool. It's nice to have everybody here. Hey B, nice to have you on board. And of course, as we listen to the Russian number station, don't forget, if you want to help me out with donations, it's always welcome. And it helps me, repair what breaks. For example, burning lights while we're doing the show. So nice to have everybody here. Richard Cook says nothing over there. Very poor over there, he means. Bobby Burgess says 12217 has nothing at all. Scully 4 says can't hear that at all. Calvin says that tone I heard in my local petrol station for petrol pumps. Freedom Russia 12217 has 9 plus 10. Cool. MDK2 12217 fair signal. Uquili says 12217 strong in Pennsylvania. Matambal says 12217 S7 in Colorado. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see everybody tuning the signals. And what you're hearing right now is, of course, the Russian number station XPA2. Where's the X, the cat? The X is outside. The X is outside. So that was XPA2 number station. Pretty cool. And once again, just want to announce my petrol station is a secret number station. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows where they can pop up. Tomorrow is a show also. Tomorrow is a VHF UHF show. So just make sure that you know that. We will be live on the VHF UHF channel. And basically we will have a few some information about, scanner radios, VHF, UHF, answer a few questions also. Maybe tune in to some amateur satellites. And the icon should be here, probably. Yeah, and my clock is probably not very precise right now because I couldn't get a decent reception to the to WWV or CHU today to really make sure that it was smack on. So it's probably a few seconds off. Richard Cook says WBCQ 9330. What happened to the icon? Oh, it's going to be here tomorrow for the VHF UHF show. It's just that it's still over there. Everything is unplugged over there. And I don't know what to do. I was thinking of putting the icon like here or maybe here, which would be a little better here, and maybe put my CB radio and my DX100 up here, and move my router to the corner there, because I'm going to remove some of the stuff there, so I could have the CB radio and the DX100 here. Easy to use if I want them, That's pretty much what I'm going to do. So tomorrow VHF UHF show. So we're going to do that now, as we've decided. Saturday shows will alternate between shortwave, VHF UHF. So tomorrow is a Saturday VHF UHF show, and in 2 weeks we'll have a shortwave show. on Saturdays, and of course we'll alternate like that. VHF, UHF, and shortwave. So yeah, almost 2 hours, an hour 45 minutes into the show. Absolutely. Here it's cable internet. Here I have got it's a hybrid. It's hybrid cable that they call it. It's up to the corner street fiber optics and cable from the corner street box to my home. So it's kind of a hybrid system. So you're watching the Shortwave Radio Show. We are here live every Fridays at 2000 hours Universal Time. And hopefully you enjoyed our show. It's always fun to have everybody on board. And basically we talk about radio and just have fun and tune the bands and see what's happening. So it's kind of cool. Scaliophorus says on my end it's fiber, but it's not fiber at my router, if you get what I mean. Yeah, it's some kind of a hybrid also. It's some kind of a hybrid thing. So, you know. So, let's check it out. Let's go back to the 20-meter band. There was a lot of signals earlier. Anything more? Let's check it out here. Nine Alpha 7 Charlie. Nine Alpha 7 Charlie, Croatia. Pretty strong European signals on 20 meters. 9 Alpha 7 Charlie. Scaliophorus says, man, I like this channel. Shame I ran out of booze. You gotta get ready because, you know, these shows sometimes last, the record is 5 hours and a half, so you need to have booze to go through it. Mandrill DX, any E-skip on 11-meter band? Let's check it out. Just quickly. I didn't check today. Let's check 27025. Anything happening over here? Nope. Doesn't seem to be anything happening in the Sportic E-skip because there's nothing on channel 6, the CB channel 6, very quiet. Danny Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you here from Yonkers, New York. Always nice to have you here. So let's go back to 14251. Upper sideband. So we had Croatia.
America.
This one is.
Good afternoon. How are you, buddy?
Oh, this one is strong. What's that? Who's that guy?
Yes, so you are. More than 40 all the time, over. Okay, Ben, how's the audio? Yeah, it's HC5 into ICOM 7300, over.
It's Richard Cook. It's Channel Radio International from Albania in English.
Congratulations. I tried HC4. I can show you HC4 just a second. It's I need only 1 second. Just a second.
That guy's very powerful.
It is HC4 now. HC4. Is there any difference, over?
14243, upper sideband, very strong.
Yes, it was about pen 15 years ago, and I ordered 30 HC5 microphone elements, and still have some of them, over.
Yeah, it's very, very. I haven't had.
Yeah, each one, I think that each one is at least $100 now, over.
It seems that this summer I haven't had. There were a couple of really good openings for Sportic E-Skip,
Yeah, it is.
but
Please, and it is.
I have the impression, and a lot of people have the same impression that I have, that it wasn't as good as some other
Roger, but you're right. Just must say that it was very hot today, and I spent about 7
because here 5960 kilohertz is really, really stated as being Channel International to Europe in English from Albania.
now drinking beer and talking to old pals, over.
He's drinking beer and talking to old pals. And we're drinking beer or wine or whatever. Hey, Dave Freeman, watching from your phone. Cool. You know what, Mad Radio DXer? There's no correlation technically from what I understand to the solar cycle.
Just for the information,
But, it's not impossible. We don't totally understand E-Skip.
and then it is too big, over.
And a lot of people mentioned that this summer didn't seem as good as other times. So maybe it's a mix of, some local event, and maybe solar activity enhances the possibility it happens.
Just for the information.
It's not impossible.
Extremely well for grass because
But we don't understand fully why these patches of E-Skip happen.
high temperature just
There's all sorts of speculations. One of them being with the weather, thunderstorms, stuff like that.
23, have a pleasant weekend, Pat, and greetings from Croatia. KN2T 9A9A, over.
Oh, 9A, 9A. I heard that guy before. Wow, so powerful. 9A, 9A
23, Pat. Who is it? Juliet Mike.
from Croatia.
Greetings to Illinois.
Zdravko.
Who is Juliet Mike? 59, over.
Zdravko.
Thank you, 73 to Illinois. Who was the number 8?
9A, 9A. Really powerful guy from Croatia.
November 8, Tango Fox Echo 59, over.
Hey, Keegan. XN80Xer. Nice to have you here. Northwest Arkansas. Hey, Data Duden. You can go on SDR.hu, for example, and tune a one of the receivers over there, and just go to 14243 upper sideband, and you'll hear the same thing that I'm hearing here through a online receiver. Everybody can do so. Everybody can listen to. There's no problem there. Richard Cook says Coast FM on 6285. Yeah, this is Ham Radio 14243 right now. MDK2 says, wow, I got this guy in Denver.
Roger.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing signal. The guy's really, really powerful.
The seal game, of course. November 8, Tango Fox Echo 989, America 73.
It's a shame the guy doesn't know he's being streamed live on a shortwave channel on YouTube. He'd probably get a kick out of
W2 Japan Delta Bravo.
viewing and listening to his signal through the stream here. I should keep his call sign and put it in the tags.
Yeah, Roger. Give us out. Yeah, it's HC5. And the HC4 microphone was from Charlie, November Fox 4, America. Just I repaired.
So a guy from Croatia, 9A9A.
Two headphones. I made one good head.
Absolutely, Mad Radio DXer. You know what? There's so many unknowns about this that I think, it's part of the radio. What us radio fans and amateur radio can do. Thanks, David. Nice to uh, nice to have you as a donator, and it's always nice to have everybody on board. By the way, I got a few. I did have a few donations come through, so I want to thank everybody that donated. Very, 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 very nice, you guys, to do so. So thank you very much. Um, Danny Shortwave Radio DX, my antenna is offline. Expecting severe thunderstorms. Yeah, that's better. Absolutely. Oh, really? See it better like this? That dude and that dude and there's no problem at Radio DX, sir. There's like I said at the beginning, there's no you don't have to explain or why such as such is happening or donations are here or there or I have a lady that is a very generous donator and she's donating every month and she usually has the same amount. She's been giving me the same thing every month, always the first of the month, like every month since maybe 2 years. And one month the amount wasn't as high, and she started, sending me an email of I'm so sorry, but this month, blah 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 blah. Look, you don't have to donate, and I do not ask that you have to donate. So it's okay, and I don't think nobody has ever to explain why the amount or why once a month or why once a year or but it's just to understand that people that donate are there's not a lot of them, and what I can say is 95% of everybody watching never donated a penny. I do not require that you have to, and it's quite all right to know. It's no, I got no problem with that. It's okay. I do have YouTube monetization, absolutely. But even if someone gives me $1 every year, you're still better off than 95% of everybody watching. It's as simple as that. And by saying that, by the way, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, okay? It's just the facts of what donations are. So, Data Duden, hams are in upper sideband on frequencies above 10 megahertz. They're in lower sideband below 10 megahertz. One exception to that rule is there's 5 megahertz, a 60 meter band that has 5 channels. That's our upper sideband. But technically, the rule is upper sideband above 10, lower sideband below 10. Upper sideband on all digital signals. And there are some other modes. So there's some AM. Often at night, for example, I hear some AMers around 3880, 3885 kilohertz. There's 7290, 95 that has some AM signals, 14290, I believe. I hear some 14295. The bottom part of the 10 meter band also. And at the upper part of the 10 meter band, 29300 to 29700 approximately, there's even some FM mode. So there's kind of a mix of modes in there for sure. What I hate, just to terminate on the PayPal and the donation stuff, the fees are amazingly high when you look at how what they take you know, and it's the same for Patreon. I mean, on Patreon, technically it's worse because on Patreon, the donations, Patreon takes a 5% fee. So let's say I get $100 on Patreons. Well, there will be $5 to Patreon. Then there's the transfer to PayPal. That is another 2 or 3%. Then that's US dollars if I want to have it in my Canadian currency. The exchange from US to Canadian, there's a little something that's taken in there too. So when you think about it, there's a lot of fees involved in transferring the money. But still, it's the easiest way to send something, you know. John Connor, nice to have you on board, John O'Connor. Every time I see your name, John O'Connor, I always think of Terminator with John Connor. It's every time. Nice to have you on board, John. Indicator says this is why I've started saving up to send larger donations once every 3 or 4 months. Yeah, it's better like that, you know. For the dough, for the fees, and all that, you know, it's better. Absolutely. Patrick Manning, nice to have you here. How have you been? Have you tried any region radios? Region, REGEN? I never tried any of those. No. I have Degen, but no region. Scalio 4 did rain today. I was in my shed. That's 5 minutes. Yeah, there are some FM repeaters, absolutely. I remember one winter when solar activity was very high in the 90s. I had the first scanner ever that would go down to 29 megahertz. But the scanner radio was in FM mode. And I remember one winter, like in February, listening in to the Virgin Islands FM repeater on 29660 was coming in every day. Every day it was coming in. And then when the sun would set, I'd have maybe another half hour before it faded out. And then I would hear it again the next day. But boy, the solar activity was so high back then, so high. The show is actually about 5 seconds behind real time, depending on your delay. This clock could appear to be fast, but I timed the delay when we were both copying XBA2. So 5 seconds. It's interesting. Yeah, Bill means don't believe it. It's probably a little fast. Tomorrow I'll fix it for tomorrow. I just couldn't get a decent signal from any time station to fix it. I could have looked at a PC clock and tried to fix it from there, but I like to Yeah, regenerative receivers are something else. I've never tried a regenerative receiver. I've never had one. William Helms says one of my 901 balance is from my G6 dual antenna in to an outlet switch plate screw. The ground makes for a nice antenna right now. Cool. It's funny because sometimes when we're in environments, we try to find a way to have an antenna of some sort. And what's interesting is, I remember different places I went to looking for how can I, where could I hook up to have some kind of reception. And I remember going to a friend's house and spending a couple of days there to make sure that nothing happens and everything's okay. And I remember at the friend's house looking at, okay, where could I set up something so I could maybe receive shortwave, decently. And I remember there was a in the backyard. He had a huge window that had a metal grill over it. And I remember using an alligator clip and just clipping on the metal grill and starting to receive tons of shortwave signals. I'm like, wow, that metal grill works as an amazing shortwave antenna. So, we look around and we try to find things that we can hook up to. It's just so funny, you know. So, yeah, 29620 is the FM repeater from New York. I heard when Andy Coley, when there's a when e-skip, when sporadic e-skip happens sometimes and it's strong enough, I often hear the 29620 from New York. Very often. Has anyone wanted to take a barbecue grill and make it to an antenna? I'd have to try that with mine in the backyard. Oh, God. Voice of Curia, very strong. 13760 now in Spanish. You know what, Richard? You'll have these signals very strong in the next couple of months. As we're getting into the equinox, as we're getting towards that period of time when the days and the nights are going to be pretty much equal, you'll notice that these signals are going to be very strong. It's kind of a period of time that we're getting into that is amazing. And if the K index stays low and doesn't interfere too much with geomagnetic storming, it's pretty barbecue grill logic periodic. Oh man. I tried using a baking tray as a reflector for my GPS antenna to receive aerial signals on satellite. Sort of worked, and I was baking a cake at the same time. Oh man. David Arden says, I have a 2-meter J-pole in a tree in front of my office. I hooked up to shortwave to it. Works okay, but not as well as the G5RB. Danny Shortwave Radio DX, I need to build a portable loop for shortwave and medium wave to use for my next vacation. The long wire didn't work much. I had to make a delta loop with wire and a 1-to-1 balloon. Worked much better. And the K2 says, still long days now, but in a couple of weeks we'll start noticing the days getting shorter for sure. Yep, absolutely. It still doesn't show too much, but I would say that I was listening to the shortwave bands yesterday a little bit. You kind of start noticing a change in the pattern of propagation. You see that slowly things are changing. Next week I want to try to get a Perry Island expedition going on, for sure. I will be looking at the weather. We've been having kind of rainy weather in the past week. And I don't know what it looks like. I'm just going to check it out here. Look what it looks like right now. So right now, for the next week, what does it look like? Well, maybe Tuesday. Next Tuesday, it's supposed to be 29 Celsius and sun. So that could be Perry Island, summer warm weather, Perry Island. So that would be Tuesday, July 31st. That could be a possibility. Tuesday, July 31st. Do a Perry Island expedition could be nice. Could actually be very nice. So I'm going to put that on the calendar and see if I could maybe do that. That could be a lot of fun, actually. So Perry Island expedition possibility on Tuesday. I did do a kind of an unofficial expedition a couple of weeks back. So you guys that seen the videos of the my Grunic G5 videos. I wasn't far from Perry Island actually when I did that, but I just settled down next to the river in a park instead. But it was pretty nice. Propagation was actually nice, and it was really cool to listen to. Just getting the noise out, just having no more noise. You see that shortwave, is actually alive. Shortwave is actually really, really working. Well, there's a lot of stuff to listen to. When you go somewhere where there's just no noise, you actually find out that there's a lot of shortwave signals to listen to. One of the big problems is is noise, and it washes out all the weaker signals that unfortunately would make it to your radio, So It's just amazing. Hey, Akema Sanders. One of the things I'd like to maybe do is find a way to bring the Fidry SDR. My biggest problem is getting power for a laptop. My laptop. I need new batteries for my laptop. My laptop batteries are 5-year-old batteries, so they barely make more than an hour now. They barely make an hour. And I'd like to have a working SDR at Perry Island. That would be so nice. Scalia 429 is too damn hot. It is kind of hot. It is kind of hot. But thing is, when I go to Perry Island, it's next to the water, and usually because we're next to the water, there's a breeze blower, like blowing all the time. So it doesn't feel as hot as, say, being here right smack in the middle of the city in the main balcony. But yeah, I also find that 29 is a little hot. Well, Brett Wayne, I have a friend. I went to a bar I went to a bar 3 weeks ago, and with a friend of mine that works there, and got out of the bar at 3 a.m. By the time I got home, it was 4 a.m. And that was maybe July 3rd, 4th, something like that. And when I got home at 4 a.m., we could see the sun was starting to get there. The sky was blue. The sun wasn't up yet, but the sky was blue. You could see that daylight was coming. And this week, I went to the bar with my friend again, and I got home this week, and I got home at 4 a.m. And it's a month later, almost a month later, and I noticed that no blue sky tonight. It was a little later, like 4:15, 4:20 before it started. So you see that the days are starting to get shorter. Absolutely. So, digital modes is not a problem. Digital modes, I use I can, I have a tablet computer, I have an iPad that has, a lot of battery time. I can even decode on my phone. I got apps on my Android phone to decode signals. So, digital modes is not much of a problem. But getting a, I'd say getting really a laptop to work out the SDR, and that's the biggest problem, the SDR, because I need a working laptop, and they use a lot of power. So I don't know. Yeah, absolutely, MDK2. The further north you are, the most you notice these changes in daylight. It's I'm at 45. Here we're at 45.5 north. So you get a little more. But what I noticed most, before I would say before I noticed shorter days, I don't know if here the I would say in mid-August, starting mid-August, it still feels like summer. It's still hot, but the angle of the sun starts to kind of look weird. It has that strange feel that things are changing, and it's not the same that it used to be. Where in July, sun is very high in the sky. It doesn't show, but starting maybe about mid-August, you start seeing that change of the angle of the sun, and you notice that the lighting is different. Everything is kind of different, even though it could still be, hot and still summer-like conditions, So, problem is, I need a laptop. I need a new laptop, and I need a new laptop that has that has decent battery life. I was looking at what I could buy that really has much better battery life. And that would could be nice to use. You know, if I can at least have 2 to 3 hours solid use of my SDR, I'd be happy. You know. Now, if I bring my laptop, I'll have running the software and everything. I won't have more than you know. If I have an hour of SDR, it's pretty much maximum that's gonna happen. So you know. Hey, you're watching the Shortwave radio show. We're live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We're now on for 2 hours and 15 minutes. 9A on 14243 upper sideband out of Croatia. Let's check out anything else on the bands to tune around. So let's see what else we can have. Let's go down. Let's check out the signals. What do we have? What do we have? Not a lot of stuff here. Stuff here. Stanag on 134123. What do we have? Let's check out these signals here. 12 megahertz. Check out what we can hear. Radio teletype 12119. Okay, what do we have in signals here? $11,930. I hear the Cuban jamming much stronger than the 11,930 than the Radio Marti. Yeah, 13560. I'm hearing. If I go back here, 13560, I'm hearing this on 13560. Let's just check it out. I'm hearing this. I don't know if you guys hear something like that. I'm hearing that. 13560. Some kind of weird digital thing. And isn't 13560 a frequency for something like telemetry, some kind of telemetry stuff or equipment stuff? Out of curiosity. There's kind of something there. Cuban lady on 10715. And much weaker than it was on 11,635. I have kind of signal, but man. Scale Forces, I think SDR is fantastic. My option, I got a cheap TV stick from Amazon and with some freely available software and turned into SDR radio. Yeah. You know, my Fedri, which is a long wave, medium wave, shortwave radio, has me using that all the time rather than turning on my ICOM for shortwave. And you know, the visual of the display makes it so interesting because you see everything everywhere. You can just go and click the signals. Yeah, it's science and industrial stuff. So it doesn't, because what I hear on 13560 isn't going, you know, up and down in signal level. So every time I went there, I was like, it looks like some kind of local thing, honestly. Richard Cook says he hears 13,560. I guess it's some local scientific thing. I don't know. I would guess. You know. C. Johnson says DMR is amazing. 10715 for the Cuban number. No, I haven't tried time stations today. Let's try 25. Let's try 20. Let's try 15. Let's try 14996. Nine 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 six. Ten. Really have nothing on the time signal frequencies, I can tell you that. It's very quiet. CHU. Very weak CHU on 3330. Very weak. I can tell you my clock is exactly 6 seconds fast, according to what I hear from CHU. So not a lot of stuff there. Radio Saudi on 11915, not super strong, but it's there. 11915, Radio Saudi, stronger than 11820. There's some guy with some strong music in his car outside. Matambale. Matambale. I like that. Matambale. Thanks for the pronunciation guide. Pronounce Joe. Richard Cook has Royal Air Force vomit on 5505 strong. No, that's the Shannon vomit, absolutely. The Royal Air Force vomit. Royal Air Force vomit on 5450 was missing several nights this week. Do you hear the 5450 RAF, Richard? It was missing many, many nights this week. So Matambale. Now I'll pronounce it right. And if anybody else, I misspell whatever name you have, just feel free to put the pronunciation guide. And the K2 says, heard 5450 last night. Faint but there. Okay, so it's there. Thanks for checking, because it's been a few nights and I was like, wow, you know. Made a review. C. Johnson says, is there an ideal, just I'm gonna stop the chat here. Ideal height for a HF antenna. I was thinking if you're on a plane, if the reception would change. Well, yes, there's a difference in height. And also, depending on the frequency, that height is different. So, technically, the lower the frequency range, I believe the higher the antenna, something like that. The higher you can put it. There's kind of a, you know, a minimum height to having the best antenna. It's not going to work, you know. I had antennas, I had wires just on the ground and it worked. It's just that it's not the perfect way to have an antenna. But there is a height, and depending on where you and what frequency you listen to, some height might be better than other. Now, if you're on a plane, yeah, reception would probably be different. But how different, I don't know. you know. But there is definitely a difference depending on the height of the antenna. See, Johnson says, so Man Rated DXer, just imagine the Hangout gets a copyright strike because of some guy playing loud music for the car. Oh man, that would be probably idiot off of YouTube, but you know, it's anything is possible with YouTube. It's just crazy. I mean, just that. You hear this is the the Holy Quran that's being kind of recited. If that is too loud and it's dominant on my video, I get a. It's not a copyright strike. I get a, well, this video might not be suitable for all announcers. So it's just going to tell you that you might not have as many ads as you would have on other videos. It's like, oh, okay. But I kind of understand that, yeah, maybe because of the religious side of it. You know, it's nuts. YouTube is completely nuts. And it's driving its creators nuts with all the rules. It's just crazy. But yeah, possibly you lose some of the ground bounce. I don't know. VK2FBAJ, nice to have you on board from Sydney, Australia. Yeah, going well here. It's pretty cool. Can I have some of your booze? No, I'm sorry, but this is my last beer for today. I don't have any others. So I'll have to buy new beer for tomorrow if I want to have beer for the VHF show. It's my last. It's a case of 12 different beers. And I had it here for like 2 weeks. And every show I've had beers on it. And I had a couple of beers in the evening from time to time this week. So, you know. What else? Daniel Shortwave, Radio DX says, I may have some. I'm at a Radio Sunday online right now. I have to do some home renovations. Yeah, I gotta continue my fixing of stuff and the painting and everything, which I hate doing, honestly. Really hate doing. So, really nice. Mantumbali says, you want the antenna height at least half the wavelength above the ground, ideally. But at low frequency, that's just not practical. No, absolutely. You know, if you're on long wave, half wavelength is like, you know, you'll be, you'll have an antenna 2 kilometers up. That's not very practical. You know, it depends on the frequency you use, and you cannot always follow that rule. Absolutely. I mean, it's impossible. Man. P1WX, good evening. Anybody else watching the lunar eclipse happening? 6604, yep, Gander. Let's try it out here. Yep. Let's try 13270. Nothing. 10051. 10051. And 6604. The strongest for me is 10051. This is Gander, Newfoundland, Canada. Absolutely, Danny Shortwave. That's the, you know, even when I do, I don't do them much anymore. But I don't know if you guys remember, I used to do band scans and posting the video of, you know, every frequency that I stumble through. You know what? I haven't done that in such a long time. I should do it from time to time again and make nice videos. People like that. And I would talk and I would say, you know, this is that station, this is that station, this is that station. And, but I had to move fast on some stations. You know, you go through a station and there's music. You're just like, whoops. You know, okay, well, you know, that frequency was that station. But with the music stuff, I just went through really fast because I get a copyright strike if I, you know, take the time to just leave it on for, you know, a minute or something. John O'Connor just got a UPS, the Uniden BCT 15T scanner from UPS. Oh. VK2, FVAJ, yeah, you are in the future. Absolutely. Saturday morning. He's from the future. Hey, Cesar Olea prefers Corona. Cool. Cool. The last one I had is Fin du Monde, and it's a 9% beer. The other ones were 5 and 7%, something like that. It's been very nice tonight. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's fun. It's always fun, you know. We were at 80. We were averaging 80. I think the peak we had was like 88 at some point. Sometimes, you know, it's summer. There's more people on vacation, you know. Honestly. Well, Bender says yes, the lunar eclipse was amazing. Do they have good root beer in Quebec? Well, the best root beer we have here is A&W's root beer. It's amazingly good. I find it's the best root beer. But there's several types of root beers in Quebec. There's even some local soft drink companies that have root beer, their own root beer, made here. But I find the A&W root beer to be the best. So Ralph Bender says, yes, lunar eclipse was amazing. I'll be, if the sky is clear tonight, I'll be looking at Mars tonight. Hey, Shortwave Frequency Channel, nice to have you here. Somebody told me you have some live shows. I didn't, I wasn't available to check them out, but I think it was Bobby Burgess that told me you have live shows. It's nice to have everybody on board. MBK2 says 13270 a week, 100051 fare, 1604 not at all. Yeah. Yes, don't forget to give me a thumbs up to help me out. Absolutely. Richard Cook's got WRMI on 7780 kilohertz. Gary Stephenson, how many frequency on shortwave do you have logged at this time? If you mean through the 30, you know, some years that I've been listening to shortwave, you know, so many, you know, thousands of frequencies of all sorts of things logged. You know, there was a time when there's so many more signals on shortwave than today. So it's, you know, it's there's so many things. John O'Connor says A&W was rated the best root beer here in the States. Well, I believe it. It's really, really, really good. Barks is not bad. I've purchased Barks a few times when I felt like drinking root beer, and it's actually not bad. Absolutely, C. Johnson. I remember liking Barks also. David says medium wave stations over here use radiating mass as antennas. They use the ground as a ground plane counterpoise, but that means they're very inefficient. Most kilowatt lost into eating that ground. Yeah. Try to do the best they can. Yeah, I heard 12,000. Hey, yeah, Blasting, nice to have you on board. The damn medical appointment. Yeah, these are always. Scalio 4 to donate. PayPal or Patreon. So you go to PayPal, and paypal.me/shortwave will bring you directly to my link where you can donate, or the Yahoo email. Just go to your PayPal account and send it to the Yahoo email you see here. Or patreon.com/radiocomputers. You can actually set up in there and give me something every month. That's the nice part of it, is that you don't have to take care of it. You just let it go. I've got 11 patrons that are, regular contributors every month. But you got to be careful, because the patreon.com is a little tricky. Make sure you have set the amount right for the maximum amount. And that's why I kind of like, unless you know how to handle it. I like PayPal better because it's less tricky. Unfortunately, yeah, like we were talking earlier, there's a lot of fees, unfortunately, that are taken by the different by PayPal and the exchange in money and all of that. And remember, guys, one thing that I always want to say: you don't have to send me in Canadian dollars. A lot of people say, well, I'll exchange it in Canadian dollars. You don't have to do that. You can send it in your own currency. I've had Swedish kroners. I've had euros. I've had so many different currencies. It doesn't matter on PayPal, because once it gets to my account, I get a message that says, oh, you want to transfer that currency into Canadian dollars? And the only currency I keep two currencies in PayPal. I keep US dollars and I keep Canadian dollars. So like that, if I need to purchase something that is in US dollars, I already have US currencies, because the exchange rate is bad. To give you guys an idea, if I get 100 US dollars, it will give me about 130 Canadian dollars. Which also means if I want to buy something that's costing 100 US dollars, it's going to cost me 130 some dollars Canadian to purchase. So that's why I keep the US currency. I keep a certain amount. So if I need to purchase something that will be in US currency, I have the money already there. But you just send it in whatever currency. It doesn't matter. You don't have to think of sending it in Canadian dollars or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just send it in the currency you have, and I'll exchange here. I'll just transfer it in Canadian dollars or whatever. So thanks for the people that donated. I got a few donations coming through. I saw through the show. And thanks for being great fans and helping me out, guys. It's always cool. So Keegan says 12,000 strong signal there. That's Cuba. It's not very strong today, Cuba, here. There's something here on 11. Let me just check that out here. On 11, 7. Okay, there's something very strong here. 11,530. What's on 11,530? 11,530. Let me check that out. Isn't that Madagascar World Voice? I think it is. I think every time I stumble upon it, I just wonder what it is. So 2200 is what is that? 11,530. 2015. That's CNR1. What is that? I don't know what it is. Oh, 22, 20, no, it's not Sound of Hope. Well, there's something on 11,530, and I have no idea what it is, unless it's the Dengue Wellat station that is continued past 2200, 2100, because 11,530 is not in my list of the EIBI space frequency list here. So, anyone, Jeff Miller, nice to have you here. Anyone know a good shortwave frequency database for iOS? Let me just check on my iPhone 5 here. the frequency list that I've got is, I believe for shortwave it is. Let me just check it out here. Shortwave. Shortwave. What's that? Trying to find out what I had. What I believe that if I go here, I can tell you guys that when I look at my iPhone 5, very tiny screen, I'm extremely happy to have a Galaxy S7, S9 Plus phone with a much bigger screen. Shortwave schedules. So here we have shortwave. So yeah, shortwave. There's one by Black Cat Systems that is shortwave broadcast schedule. It's not free, if I'm not mistaken, but I already purchased it, so I have it here. Shortwave broadcast. That's pretty much what I see here as for schedules. Black Cat Systems. There's something called shortwave listener radio scanner. Oh, okay. I don't know. Anybody know any other app? Because here what I found is shortwave. Shortwave broadcast schedules by Black Cat Systems. I remember using it and finding it okay, but you know, there's the other one here on the Android that I use is better. Mentum Valley says Henry Winward's root beer is really tasty. Used to drink. I've never had that. I've actually never seen that here in Montreal. Max Edstrong says chicks love radio nerds. You sure about that? Cosmic Lettuce, nice to have you here. Wow, 60-second delay here. Wow, that's a lot. Radio Romania 9760 in English. Let's check it out.
Is being transported and returned under strict security conditions.
Pretty good.
The exhibition presents the most valuable objects.
Radio Nerds, internationally recognized major compliments.
Some of the exhibits date back thousands of years, while others are from the ancient and medieval eras. The exhibition contains weapons.
Yeah, absolutely, Mad Radio DXer. Send it, and you can start. I've had a pound sterling sent to me regularly. I'll do the transfer here. I have the impression if I do the conversion, it's less of a problem than when you guys do it, and it has less fees.
He became famous after managing to raise the money necessary to restore his church, a historical monument, the Church of St. Archangels, Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. The money was provided by
Yeah, Voice of Turkey in English, 9830, also.
parishioners living in the capital of France.
Absolutely. Let's try 9830
1774.
with some Turkish music. Good signal from Voice of Turkey, 9830 kilohertz. Absolutely. So it's nice to have you on board. 11530 S8, that says Brett Wayne. Well, thanks, Skelly4. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Indicate 2, 11530, sometimes used by WRMI. Yeah, it's not impossible. No, it's not a Chinese thing. I'm sure that 11530 is not Chinese in some way, of any type of Chinese or Asian thing. It sounds like an Arabic station, absolutely. But it's not in my list, so I don't know. I don't know what it is. So I really don't know. RHC's radio event at Cuba. So, what do we have? For Android, I use two shortwave schedules and skywave schedules. Yeah, I have both. I believe I have both on my Android phone. Let me just check out here. On my Android phone, I've got, on my Android phone, I've got let me just check it out here. I got Stephen Cooper's app, which is Shortwave Schedule, which is very good. So where did I put my folder with Shortwave? Okay, I've got that. So the one I use is Stephen Cooper's app, which is kind of nice. I purchased a premium version. I think it's worth it. You know, the guy works hard for the app, and it uses the EIBI space shortwave schedules. So you can have, you know, like for example, if I want to see what's on 9830 right now, or now on, so it's gonna just, you know, switch, and it has a very nice interface when you put it. So you choose what meter band. So I'll choose, for example, 31 meters. And then you have everything that's on 31 meters. So if I go to 9830 right now, I'll have Voice of Turkey. 31 meters, 9830, Voice of Turkey. That's kind of cool. So you can, with shortwave schedules, you can see by time, by station, by frequency, and of course you can have your favorites. That's the one I use. I haven't used the other one in a while. Skywave schedules. I'm gonna go get it right now. Skywave schedules. Skywave schedules. And here it is. Skywave schedules is this one here. Skywave schedules. I will install and I will accept. And Skywave schedules is now installed on my phone. I'll be checking that out. So this one is a different look, different way of producing your schedules. So if I try 9830 and search for it, search. Oh, that's interesting because seems to be okay. Language, okay, that's English. Search. It doesn't find. Oh, that's interesting because it doesn't find Voice of Turkey. Huh. Unless it's not updated the schedules. Let's update schedule. Yeah. Okay, maybe the schedule's not updated. Let's do it again. Okay, successful search. Yeah, Voice of Turkey. So I've searched 9830. We're going to try that. I'm going to use that when I actually do the live shows instead of going to the website. So I put 9830 in the search box, and I take search, and it says Voice of Turkey. I don't know if you guys can see that, but Voice of Turkey, English 2223. Nice app, actually. So this one is Skywave Schedules on Android. Pretty nice. Pretty nice, actually. What else? What else? What else? They always do that, Richard Cook. They always sign off early. Sometimes though they leave the interval signal going on, but you know, for long time. Take care, Cosmic Lettuce. No problem. It's all right. I'll try to make it to your show tonight. Skywave uses EIBI and AOK. Oh, it really uses both, Ralph? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting because it adds even more of a dimension. AOK is a great list that actually shows, it's pretty much coming from what everybody is monitoring. EIBI is more of a list of, you know, this is where station should be. It's nice to see they mix both. What app did you download, Bobby Burgess? Hey, Shady Pyro 90, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Okay, that's interesting. I'll be checking that out. You know what? I had not used Skywave in a while because I remember I had Skywave on my S7, which is the camera I'm using, and I kind of found it okay. One of the things that Skywave had that kind of scared me off of Skywave, I have a antivirus here that is Malwarebytes on my Android phone, and it actually tagged Skywave as malicious in my phone. So now obviously it doesn't, because I still have Malwarebytes and it doesn't say anything. But also I find that Skywave seems to have a lot of improvements since the last time I've used it. Full screen mode. Well, list stations without any search options visible. Okay. So this is kind of nice. So if you guys want to see it, I can actually have you guys see a little more if you want. I'm gonna actually cast my screen there so you guys can see it. Cast. Okay. And you guys should actually find. There we go. Skywave schedules look like. This is what I can't. So this is what it looks. So for example, let's just try something. What's a search? Jammer, Sound of Hope. It doesn't add information. This is really nice. Last heard 2016. Oh, this is very, very detailed. Very, very nice when you should click on it. Oh, wow. Okay, this is kind of cool. And you can target, for example, North America. And let's see for and search. Remove the frequency here. Search. America that is at this time. To 0 apparently. Is it? First start date May 1st. Last heard May. I'm starting to like this app. I like this. It's actually a nice. So kind of cool here. So let's disconnect. Yeah, it's too much data on the. Should be better now. Yeah, it messed up. I thought about it. I thought it probably went back to the casting is actually asking so much data off of the router, and the fact that the casting was using Wi-Fi problems. So yeah, just refresh. I had to refresh. Let's I'm gonna refresh here and see if it's okay. I'll try that here and see if the refresh works. Getting back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's okay. It seems to be okay here. So it should be back to normal, but at the time, just got to refresh the page, probably. So sorry guys, I did think that it might do something, but I didn't think it would do something so bad. The casting is asking too much off of the router. And both were on Wi-Fi too, so it's like, you know, the casting of tons of data to actually show on the screen here, plus the S7 doing its stream, you know? It's pretty amazing. So anyways, it's a great, you know what, if you guys have an Android tablet or phone, check it out. Skywave schedules is kind of interesting. I kind of like it, honestly. Pretty surprising. Pretty surprising, honestly. So this is cool. This is really, really cool. Okay. Yes, it's 720p. My phone is actually 720p because it doesn't have. You know what? What's sad is that the S7 can do 4K video, but the YouTube app for streaming has 720p as the highest setting, where I would like to have at least 1080p. It's the only thing that I hate about that. I can't go to 1080, you know? It's not YouTube, it's the beer. Oh, man. So, no, Skywave didn't find anything on 11530. You know, is it still there? 11530? I don't know what that is. There's something on 11530. And I don't know what that is. I really don't know what that is. So, something weird. So, hey guys, we're at the 3-hour mark in a few minutes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say bye for tonight because, you know, it's getting hot. I'm actually getting warm in here. So, no Wi-Fi routers were harmed in the making of the stream. So anyways, tomorrow, VHF UHF show. Okay? So it's going to be on the other channel, VHF UHF channel. Not on this one, because it's the other channel that has the above 30 megahertz stuff. We'll talk about some of the things on the scanner radio side on VHF UHF. There will be, and my icon will be here. It's going to be set up for the show tomorrow. That's one of the things I'm going to do. Maybe even tonight I'm going to actually put it here. And of course, for the Shortwave show, we will be back next Friday at 2000 hours Universal Time. And yeah, I know Ralph Bender, but it's not. It's neither of those. It's neither of those. It doesn't sound like that. So let me just connect myself here. And darn, I can't connect like that. Can somebody put the link to my VHF UHF show, please? Because what's happening is I am not logged in. Can somebody put the link? It would be very, very nice. It's official VHF UHF channel. So it's youtube.com/official VHF UHF channel. If somebody could put the link, it would be very, very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much, MDK2. Thank you so much for putting it. Thanks so much. So that's where it's going to happen tomorrow. And we'll be anything but shortwave. So don't expect tomorrow to be a shortwave thing. Tomorrow will be a anything but shortwave. So take care, my friends. And tomorrow, 2000 hours UT, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we will, of course, be beyond. Maybe listen to some amateur radio satellites, maybe do a lot of stuff, and talk about what's up there in the upper frequencies. Bye, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's show. It's always nice to have everybody here. Stay safe. Love you all. See you tomorrow. And for those that won't join tomorrow, see you next Friday, 2000 hours UTC. We're here every Fridays, 2000. So just remember that Fridays, 2000 UT, it's always a live shortwave show. Even if you don't get notifications, it's there. It's kind of, one of those things that are always there. Take care, my friends. Love you all. So no ID yet on 11530. That's intriguing. I don't know what that is. So I'll keep listening in, probably. So I'm going to set up, probably what I'm going to do now is kind of eat a little something, set up the ICOM, and continue listening. So take care, everyone. Love you all. And it's always nice to have you on board. Bye, my friends.